It's going to be daily live sessions with me, and every day when we are having a session, we will record that particular day session and we will share that session with you guys. And we will provide a flexibility to attend any class in any batch. Generally in a month, I'm going to have 2 to 3 batches. So anytime which is flexible to you, you can choose. For example, you are joining now this batch. After a few days, you are not comfortable with the timing. There are daylight saving changes or maybe anything. Just take an assumption, right? Or maybe your work hours is different. Then you can change your batch. Or even you completed one batch completely, but still you want to attend one more time. No issues. You can just send me a mail. So if I want to continue, you can continue. No issues. I will add you into other batch also. And this entire session is going to divide into multiple modules. After every module, you will get quizzes, assignments, and real-time project. I can simply say pretty much on the first day itself, you will get all the materials, quizzes, assignments, everything on your drive, so you can download and you can play around with that. And you will also get a previous batch recordings also. For example, once you enroll for a course today, right, tomorrow itself you will get a previous batch entire recordings also. So you have in advance, okay, all the video sessions with you. So you can play and you can attend that recording and you can note down your questions. You can come to your class and you can ask the questions when I'm teaching at the same topic. And coming to installation, my admin team is going to take care about this installation. They will install this DataStage 11.5 software on your machines. So you can get the installation based on your machine configuration. So minimum you need a 6 GB of RAM to get this DataStage 11.5 installation. 6 to 8 GB is okay. If you have more than that, it will be good. There is no such a specification for a hard disk. It can be any size. It's okay. But only the RAM is concerned. Okay. And as part of this course, we will also cover some interview questions, scenario-based interview questions, and detailed explanation of the normal questions also, and a job support after completion of this training. What does this mean? So once you guys join for the course, I'm going to add you into my WhatsApp groups where I'm providing some job support. So if you have any questions, you can post that questions in the group. So either me or some of my experts or some of my other batch students, they can also answer most of the time. I can say right now, okay, I'm managing, there are 2 groups. One group is full of 256 people in WhatsApp and another group is almost 100 plus. So both the groups, okay, most of the time people are getting responses. What are the scenarios they are posting in the group when they're attending interviews or when they're trying to crack the interviews or when they're even working in a work environment also. And this training is completely from USA. I'm not from India. I'm in USA. So once you guys enroll for any of your course, you can get my phone number. So when you're practicing or when you're attending interview, if you need any kind of help, you can call me. Who are in US, you can call me at any point of time. Even who are in India also, yes, you guys can call me at any point of time through WhatsApp or some other ways. So we can talk offline also. Okay, apart from this course of the topics, okay, we can, for example, you are attending the sessions or you are parallel attending interviews also. You are unable to crack the interview. So you have some questions. We can talk offline after the classes or maybe over the weekends. So that's the way I'm going to provide these trainings. And the duration of these trainings is going to be 45 hours of duration. And based on all the people flexibility, generally nowadays I'm taking the classes from USA Monday evening to Friday evening. And there is no session Saturday and Sunday USA time. So it's going to be Tuesday morning Indian time to Saturday evening Indian time. So this is the way these entire sessions are going to work. So this course is going to divide into 9 modules. As every batch, right, not only this batch, every batch I'm going to have a few people from different backgrounds. Some are already working on data warehousing. Some are completely new to this data warehouse. Some are maybe OPT and CPT students, right? So it can be anything. So you guys need to understand the fundamentals of data warehouse. We will first go through what is this data warehouse, what is the purpose of this data warehouse, and how this data warehouse, okay, we are going to implement in the real-time projects. That we will talk in 2 to 3 sessions. In this slide, I'm just giving you, okay, what is overall topics wise. In next slides, I'll go to detail, okay, explanation about each and every module. So module 1 is going to talk about the complete fundamentals. It's going to take minimum 3 to 4 sessions. You guys need to understand what is a data warehouse, what is the meaning of metadata, what is the meaning of data mart, what is the meaning of subject area, what is the meaning of star schema, snowflake schema, all the fundamentals you have to understand. Then we'll go to the module 2. It's going to talk about the data modeling. Even in real-time working environment also, when you are working as a DataStage developer, maybe junior DataStage developer or senior DataStage developer or maybe tech lead, you are not going to involve in the modeling because there will be a separate team who is going to take care about the preparing of the models for us, logical models, physical models, anything. But what we need to understand to build a data warehouse, that means a data warehouse is nothing but an RDBMS system, right? So it's going to have a lot of tables. There are 2 types of tables you can see. One is called dimensional tables, second one is called fact tables. When you are really building a data warehouse. So when we are having those table structures, as a ETL developer, you should understand what are the tables are there, which are the primary keys, what are the foreign keys are there, how to establish a join between your primary table to the child table. When you start loading the data into those tables, right, how first you are going to load the data into the parent table called dimension table. Then how you are going to load the data into the child table, that's called fact table. What is the meaning of fact? What is the foreign key? What is the primary key? All those fundamentals also you guys need to understand. That we are going to talk in modeling. Actually, you are not going to do the model actually. Whatever the modeling team implemented the model, see, your data modeling team implemented a model with using of Erwin data modeling tool, right? So they will prepare some kind of model structures. They will prepare LLD, they will prepare logical data modeling documents, physical data modeling document with some kind of diagrams. So you should be able to understand that and should be able to digest that particular diagrammatical standards, and you should be able to prepare your ETL. Even you will get a technical specification documents also, but still you need to have a little bit of idea on what are the kind of diagrams you are having in the model. Diagrams in the sense you will have some table, that table structure you have to understand, right? That we will talk in module 2 before we go to actual ETL. So who are new to this data warehouse, right? You guys need to know this, definitely this module 1 and module 2. So once module 1 and module 2, that means the fundamentals part completed, then we'll go to introduction to IBM Information Server 11.5 architecture. So this DataStage is not a new tool. It's a kind of almost 10-15 years. It's a pretty much old tool. In 1990s, we have this tool was related, and there are a lot of different versions of this tool also there in the market. And the current and latest version which is there in the market is DataStage version 11.5. So we are going to talk completely about that version in our sessions, and you will also get the same version installation. So in the module 3, we'll talk about history of this DataStage tool and what are the components we have in this DataStage tool, what are different kind of server and client components are there, how those are all going to be integrated. As a developer, which particular components you are going to work. Just take an example. In an organization, right, you have a developers are there, you have admin team, you have a QA team, you have support team, for example, production support team. Like this, there are different teams are there. Each one is going to have their own role, right? Developer is the person who is going to develop a complete code. Code in the sense you are not going to write any programs here, because these are all graphical user-based ETL tools, that's GUI-based ETL tools. This DataStage, Informatica, all these kind of tools. So you have to know what are the different components are there, what are the different kind of architectures, what are the different kind of topologies, and all those stuff in the module 3. Then we'll go to module 4. In the module 4, we'll talk about complete data stage development. So this module 4 itself will take minimum 20 days to explain you guys. I mean 20 hours minimum to explain you guys to and to make you guys to comfortable as a data stage developer. Let's take an example. We can finish this one entire thing in 15 days also. But you should be up to the point. You should be able to understand what is this data stage ETL tool first. How it is going to really use in the project. If you really, once you completed this course, your employer placed you into some company, you should be able to understand what is the requirement I got and what kind of work I need to develop, right? So that kind of development I'm going to explain you guys. I'll take some of the project specs also, and based on those project specs, I'm going to explain you guys how to develop the jobs and how to do the compiling and how to run the jobs, how to build a little bit of complex jobs designs, and how to write a kind of transformations, for example, a kind of logics, all those stuff in the module 4. This is a big module actually. It'll take a little bit more time. And after that, we'll go to the quality stage. I can say pretty much here, still some of the clients are not using this quality stage in their work environments. Even now my client also not using. Earlier I worked on this quality stage. Now we are using this data stage and talent with integration of big data actually. So we'll go to this quality stage and we'll talk about this data quality. I have a pretty much very good experience on this quality stage also. So how to do the data quality? Just let's take an example. Coming right in the next November, in Thanksgiving timing in USA, a lot of people are going to place orders to, for example, Amazon. While you are registering in Amazon portal, for example, you entered your apartment address. You are new to that state. For example, you are new to California. You just reach to USA. So you are trying to enter some of your address by saying some bill or something. While you are entering, Amazon is showing some of the recommended address standard formats, right? How they are giving that. In their database, in their background database, they already have a standard formats similar to that. When we start loading the data into data warehouse, for example, we are working for a bank. You are a customer. You are filling an application form, right? You may write your correct standard address or you may not sometimes. So that address before we are loading into data warehouse system should be make as a standardized format. Standardized apartment number, standardized street name, standardized area name, city, state, zip code, right? Everything need to be entered. So what is the purpose of this quality stage functionality in data stage means? Before we start loading the data into data warehouse from the source system, that's called legacy systems, we have to validate the data first. Is it a good data? Is it a good format? If not, what is the good format? In a quality stage, one beautiful thing is it will also recommend you good format also. That kind of quality checks we will discuss. Especially most of clients, quality stage is going to do with the data quality checks most of times in address only. Still now, I can say that most of the clients are still using only quality check and the quality processing also. And next, we will go to the module 6, that is about administration part. Maybe if you are applying for if you are looking for a data stage developer jobs, this is not fully required for you, this module 6. But still, I'm not going to talk about completely installation and everything because that is separate session actually. That is administration session. Even I have separate batches running on that one. That's going to go, almost 40 hours only about administration. Okay. So whenever we go to this particular administration, what I'm going to talk here, we are going to talk about how we are going to control this data stage client components and how we are going to have good performance tuning in our data stage process. And all those stuff we are going to talk in administration. And next, we'll go to the module 7. We'll talk about how this information server is going to connect to the big data systems. So nowadays, most of the clients start using all these ETL tools. Not only this, pretty much data stage. It can be Informatica, it can be talent, It can be a kind of a kettle, right? It can be an ETL tool. People start integrating with the big data system and start extracting the data from the big data also. So we'll also talk about that big data process, how we are going to connect to the big data systems, how we are going to have the data from the HDFS system, how we are going to populate the data. So that's also, we'll discuss in our session as part of module 7. Then we'll go to the project. Almost 10 to, I think so, 15 hours we'll talk about this project. It's not like a basic, okay? I'll take some real-time documentation like BRDs, I'll take HLDs, LLDs, modeling documents. I'll start explaining how the jobs were really developed for that particular requirement. So we'll take a specific module. In that module, how many jobs are there? How those jobs are developed? What kind of testing we did? What kind of scheduling we are going to do in the third-party scheduling tools, right? All those stuff we are going to talk in the project. And nowadays, most of time when the people are going for attending interviews, right? Not like a basic questions. No one is going to ask you basic questions. They're always going to ask you about the performance tuning, some scenario-based questions. Even these scenario-based questions, you will get as part of your material on day one itself. But again, we'll also discuss as part of our training some of the scenarios I'll take and I'll explain you guys how these situations we can handle in different ways. Same situation can be handled by different people, different ways, right? Some are good at SQL. They'll write a SQL query for doing of concatenation. Some may be good at Unix scripting. They can write a script. Some are very good at DataStage. They can write that entire logic in DataStage tools. So there are many ways you can handle same situation. So that's also we'll talk in a module. So this is the entire course 9 modules. I have one question in our chart window from Tirupati, that is Informatica is also, one of the featured ETL tool, right? Then what is the difference between DataStage and Informatica? Give me a few minutes, Tirupati, we'll go to that point. Okay. Not only this Informatica, there are 90 plus ETL tools are there in the market. Lot of tools. So especially when it comes to ETL market. So we'll talk. What is the advantage of using the DataStage and what is the advantage of using Informatica and all those stuff also. So as I told you, right? So when we go to this particular, ETL tool, right? First we'll start with the data warehousing fundamental. That's what I'm talking in a module 1. So when I go to the module 1, right? I'll start with the what is data warehouse. And let's take, this is for example, one other project. Okay, one of the project architecture. This is one of the real project architecture. So they have a sources like a heterogeneous sources here. Some data they are coming, they're getting the data from Linux system. Some is from mainframe. Some is from databases. Some is from some external applications like web-based applications. So that means you are a DataStage developer. You start extracting the data from heterogeneous applications, and you will pull the entire data from heterogeneous application and you will put the data into your ETL server first. And from there, you will do some transformations and you will load into staging database. And from there, you will load into the data warehouse database. That means it's a phase by phase. First, we will do extraction, then we will do transformation, then we will load the data into data warehouse. That's the reason we are going to call this DataStage is a ETL tool. Okay, that's called one of the ETL tool in the market. A lot of ETL tools are there in the market. DataStage is one of the ETL tool which is right now a product of IBM. So this particular ETL tool is going to do some transformations and loading the data into data warehouse. From there, our reporting teams like Cognos or MicroStrategy or Hyperion or any of those reporting tools, ClickView, Tableau, all those kind of reporting teams will use the data whatever we are having in data warehouse, and they will create the business required reports, and the reports are going to use the business for their own data analysis. That's about the just introduction. So we will talk about all these things. What is data warehouse first? What is this data mart? What is this operational data store? What is this source? What is this landing area? Right? What is the meaning of this staging area? How we'll get the data from source to here? All those stuff we'll talk in fundamentals first module. Okay, that's just to explain that one. Okay, in 1 or 2 minutes, I took this up diagram. And next we'll go to the module 2. That is going to talk about the modeling. So what is this modeling? What we are going to have in the modeling in general? Let me show you some of the sample models so you can understand easily. Give me a second, guys. So I'm showing you some simple data modeling examples. Okay. See, like this, your data modeling team is going to prepare a different kind of diagrams. So what these diagrams are going to talk. Let's see. So this is one of the logical data modeling diagram. It shows that this is one of the healthcare insurance client project model here. We have a dim underscore provider, dim underscore pharmacy, dim underscore drug profile, fact underscore RX underscore claim. These are all different tables. What is this is all talking about? Maybe who are in US, you can easily understand, even India also, right? In India, we don't have such a kind of mostly pharmacy claims, very rare cases, you can see that. But USA, for example, we went to Walgreens or we visited a CVS pharmacy. Took some medicines, for example, there, right? Pharmacy. So you give your RX card to them and they submitted you on behalf of you, after your copay, they submitted your bill to your insurance company. That's where you're going to call it the RX claim. So in the RX claim, what kind of details you can see that? The claim ID, member ID, who is the member, right? For example, Suresh is the member. So that particular member have some member key. And he is referred by some of the physician or maybe some of maybe dentist, for example, right? The dentist have his provider ID. So that means while I am loading the data of the claim, first I should have the data in the pharmacy table, I should have a data in the provider table, I should have the data in the member table, right? Then only I am going to get the foreign keys here. So that piece you have to understand. You don't need to understand why we have this column here. That's not your business. That's not the developer understanding. Developer should understand how this table should be built. How I need to load. This table is already created. The structure is going to be, they are going to define. They are going to talk to the business. The modeling team is going to talk to the business and they will finalize. But as a developer, you should understand what is this table all about. Dim underscore provider is one of the table. What are the primary keys in this table? What are the foreign keys? What is the length of a particular column? Let's take an example. Location, street address, they mentioned here, Varkara 55, for example. Okay. When they mentioned location, street address is Varkara 55, but some of the address you are seeing that more than 55 characters. Then you can go back and talk with your, because you are the one who are really dealing with the data, right? You are doing testing. As part of your testing, you identified that in the street address, more than 55 characters. Then you can go and talk with your modeler. I found that this address is defined as a Varkara 55 length, but I want to, one second guys. So the location street address, for example, is a column, right? I'm just talking. Then you can go and talk with your modeler and they will talk with the business or maybe they will set up a call to you and business and they will decide. They want to decrease the length or no, even though it's coming extra characters, it needs to be truncated. So as a developer, then you will write it trim functions to truncate that one. So that kind of discussions are going to happen between you and modeling team, and sometimes the keys are not going to be flexible. If I am using that key, some of the valid records are dropping. Assume that they're using, for example, let's take an example. This token. Okay. Let's take an example. For example, right? This particular federal taxation ID going to be maybe key column, but provider name is also, yeah. Provider type name, for example, is not a key. Just take an example. It may be null. It may come as null also, but provider name should be there. Provider type name may be null, but that is actually defined as a key because of some of the records coming from our source is having provider type name is null. Those can reject. Then you have to talk. So while I'm loading the data, I'm able to find some 10% of data is rejecting. You can talk with the modeler. So like this, you have to understand what is this table first of all. What is the key here? How these are going to interact with other subject areas, other business units. That is the responsibility of developer to understand from the model. Okay, you don't need to create this kind of table structures and everything. That's already going to create by modeling team. The final physical data model is going to come like this. It's going to talk about what is the table you are having, finalize table, and what are the keys, how this table is going to relate to other table also. So when the modeling team prepared their model, they will give this kind of physicalized model documents. So they will also explain, modeling team generally going to explain to you how these tables are built and what is the relationship and everything. And they'll give each column naming standard, why they put their type as varchar, everything they will mostly explain. If any issues, you can just talk with them. You can understand the tables because these are the tables you are going to load into data warehouse, right? Assume that we start building the data warehouse, we have a 300 database tables are there. So you are trying to take the data from your source mainframe. You start loading the data into these tables in your Teradata data warehouse system, right? So you have to understand how this column is coming. This pharmacy key is coming from where? And this pharmacy name is coming from where? And the federal employee ID number is coming from where? Right? Source system key is coming from where? So you have to understand that logic. For that, mapping document is going to help you, but model also little bit understanding because instead of reading directly BRD documents, if you read this model or diagrammatical formats, it is pretty much easy to the developers to understand and process. If anything change in the model, your ETL also going to impact. So that we will talk in our modeling. Okay, that's about the data modeling topics which we are going to talk in our sessions. I'm going to give very detailed, not like a basic. So in the modeling, we'll go to different levels actually, we can say. First level is about gathering the business requirement, that's called phase 1 in the modeling. Second one is talking about the conceptual data model. Third phase is going to be about logical data model. And the fourth phase is going to talk about physical data modeling. This is actually the phase from where you are going to start receiving the data modeling and processing. And then we'll talk about we can talk about this physicalized model, how to implement. And the last fifth phase is about how these models need to be prepared and what are the table structures. So modeling team is the one, they are going to prepare the DDLs, the data definition language of tables, and they will send the database DDLs to the DBA, and DBA is the person, database admin is the person who is going to create all the table, physicalize the table structures in our database. So that is not your role. They will create the table structures in your data warehouse and they will give the structures, but you have to understand, I have a table called pharmacy. What the attributes are there? How these attributes are coming from source. Is your mapping explaining that information or not? Those you have to understand from this modeling part. Sometimes modelers may be develop wrong. They're going to follow wrong process. They may have wrong column names or wrong data type or nullabilities. Those when you're doing testing, you may have issues. You have to talk to the modeling team also. So that's about the module 2, which we are going to talk mostly. And next, we'll go for architecture, right? In the architecture of this data stage, we'll talk about what is the different components are there in this data stage and everything. And we'll also talk about what are the different kind of components we are having in this architecture we are having. So there are different kind of components and different kind of platform tiers are going to be there in this data stage, like server tier, repository, working area, engine, client. So we will talk all those components in our sessions, and we'll also go to the we'll not need to discuss all these things. What are the different kind of server topologies are available, right? How we are going to have the server topologies in this particular data stage support topologies. Because when you are working on data stage, sometimes you can see that okay, you may have a two-tier architecture. In some of the clients, we may use three-tier architecture. Some may be using nowadays most of people who are having this data stage 11.5 when they're using in their project, they are using mostly kind of grid, not like a SMP or MPP structures. They are using in a grid. So we are going to talk about how to use this grid servers in data stage, what kind of grid components we are going to have, and how these grid components are really going to be useful in our data stage tool. So that we are going to talk in our sessions also. So it's not too, required for you guys, but just a high level idea, because that's the responsibility of admin team, who is going to install this data stage. So when they are going to install this data stage software on our cluster, so they will think about, okay, what are the different kind of servers, for example, assume that. In old versions of data stage, mostly till 9.1 or 8.7, those versions of data stage, most of clients used cluster processing, or we can say SMP, symmetric multiprocessing systems. Okay. At that time, for example, you have three servers. When you have a three servers, for example, server 1, this is the server 1, server 2, server 3. You developed you developed one process, for example, which is going to run on your servers. Always, what is the big challenge we have in the cluster or any processor is, the first server is going to be too busy, then second and third, because this is the first server, right? Always, what are the job you are running, it will going to hit here in the first server. Once this first server is busy, or if you're running parallel, then only it will going to hit second and it will going to hit third. That means we can say it will going to utilize all the three servers. I'm not saying it will going to restrict to only server 1, but we can say the more network is going to be utilized on the configuration 1, that means node 1, but node 2 and node 3 is going to be less utilized. That's a big problem, right? Because node 1 is going to be always over-utilized, and node 2 and node 3 is going to be less utilized. So, in that case, right, what the problem is, we are going to have this particular, when we are having, for example, this kind of a process, always these servers are less utilized, so we'll not have a much performance improvement. Nowadays, what clients start using is, they start using a grid. What is this grid? What they're going to do? In the grid, actually, we are going to have a lot of different components. For example, I can say that they're called processing nodes. Maybe who are aware of Hadoop. I'm working currently on Hadoop and I'm also Hadoop trainer. So in a Hadoop, right, you'll be having a distributed file system processing, DFS. That's called HDFS, Hadoop distributed. The similar mechanism we are going to follow right now in the grid processing also. You'll be having one master piece of server and rest are all called individual processing nodes. So when you run your data stage job, it's not going to run on the first piece. It's going to distribute it to all the processing nodes and faster job completion. If any one of CPU down also, no need to worry about it. So that's the beauty of this grid processing. So in latest versions, you can see this grid processing in our data stage. When you're talking about this information server architecture component, we'll talk a little bit more about it, how it can use, and what is this grid toolkit, what's the resource manager, when you submit a grid, how the tool jobs are going to execute on the grid, all those stuff. Okay. So this all we will talk in how to use this dynamic configuration and what are all different versions available in data stage. Mostly from 2006 onwards, this IBM took this data stage, version 8 to version 11.5. So we'll talk about all these versions and what are the differences and everything. So up to this module, we'll use slides or we will use mostly PPTs and everything, okay, and materials and everything. So we'll talk about complete tool. Now, from module 4 onwards, we'll completely go to the tool. We'll not talk about anything critical. We'll use PPTs, we'll use to explain something, but we'll completely talk about tool. So, how this data stage tool is going to look like? What are the different components will be there in this data stage? Once the data stage software installed on your machine, you can see all these kind of clients in your tool. So in all these clients, right, these two are going to talk about admin client and the web console client. That means administrator process, desktop admin and web console admin, and the below clients are going to talk about development. So especially when you are working as a developer of DataStage, we'll be having a DataStage designer and we'll be having DataStage director. We'll use this DataStage designer is a client which is going to be useful pretty much to develop a DataStage code. Okay, I'll show you in 1 or 2 minutes how this DataStage code is going to develop. And what is this client DataStage director means? This is a client which is going to completely talk about how can we monitor the DataStage jobs. For example, some of developers are running, right? How can you check that, okay, the job is started or failed or it has some issue in the tool? So how can we have this particular components in this DataStage director? That we will see that in the DataStage director tool. And we are having a information server command line interface. This is also another client which is going to use to do some kind of execution of commands, like job level commands and project level commands, admin level commands, and everything. And we have InfoSphere fast track client. This is going to use to do a kind of viewing the business requirement and creating the business jobs. That means if you want to do a kind of POC or something, if you don't have enough developers in your project, then you can use this fast track to view the business requirement and automatically convert into ETL components also. And we are having a information server launchpad. This launchpad is the one which is going to completely talk about web-based options. Right now, in 11.3 and 11.5, we have few of the components are web-based, not like a system in desktop-based clients. So those clients are going to be useful through the server launchpad. I'll show you that one too. Give me 2 minutes, and we'll go to the information server manager. That information server manager is a kind of deployment tool. You developed your code in development. You are going to deploy that to test, right? And from test to UAT and UAT to production. So what are the different environments? So what not? So which environment you want to deploy your code? That you can use this information server command line. And this information server command line, this server manager actually is a tool which is also nowadays people are integrating into this third-party subversioning tools like Tortoise SVN or UCD Urban Code Deployment Tool. UCD is also another tool, IBM product. So because of most of clients nowadays moving into DevOps model rather than going forward to waterfall or agile, right? When you are going for software development, as they want to go for DevOps, so continuous deployment, continuous integration, when they want to follow, then they will integrate their all deployments and they store their code in the subversion as a backup. For example, today we are deploying some code to production, and once we deploy the code, that we want to take a backup. And tomorrow, when you are redeploying the code after modification something, you want to overwrite the existing code in the subversion, and you want to overwrite the code which is there in the production also, or you want to maintain both the code, old code in the subversion and new code also with a different version number. So all things are going to be kind of a continuous deployment and continuous development if you want to do using a DevOps model. Nowadays, there are third-party tools also available which is going to do DevOps process, like UCD is another tool which is going to be given to DataStage to deploy continuously. That means you'll just put your code in subversion, it automatically move your code to development to test or some other environment. And there is a tool called Excel Deploy. That's also going to deploy the code from development to test or development to UAT and all those environments. So further, we use this information server manager tool for migrations. And we have one more client called IBM Information Server Console. This is not going to work in our personal machine. This is going to be useful for information analyzer and information services director, because the information analyzer to work actually we need IADB. The database nowadays IBM is not giving for free in our free versions which we are using for practice. So even in companies also that need to be purchased. It's not free. So we're not able to talk about this client and even this metadata assistant manager also, because this metadata assistant manager is going to talk about how you are importing the metadata from third-party tools. That also it's not possible. And this is actually client which is going to be useful for the multi-client manager. That means if you have a DataStage old version and DataStage new version in the same mission, you want to switch between old version client to the new version client or something, then we use this multi-client manager tool which is going to be useful for deploying the code from one version to other version. I mean, switch simply between the 8.7 version to 11.5 or 11.5 to 8.7. Then we use this multi-client manager. So these are all clients you can see in your data stage. And apart from these, we have one more also. That's called IBM Information Server Connector Migrator. This connector migrator is the client which is going to migrate the old version of database to the new version of database in DataStage. So whenever we want to migrate old version of database to the new version of database, for example, then we use, we can simply use this particular connector migrator tool to migrate the database. For example, assume that you have Oracle 8 that you want to migrate into Oracle 10, right? That means database level that's going to take care by DBA. But in DataStage ETL tool level also you have to migrate the database stages, existing enterprise stage to connector stage or something. We use this connector migrator tool. So we'll also talk about how to use the connector migrator tool, how to migrate that jobs. I'll just connect this one so you can check out. Okay. So this is the way we are going to use all these client components. Let me show you how to work on this DataStage Designer. Just going to this DataStage Designer tool. So when you go to this DataStage Designer actually here, I'm just opening a component called repository. What does this repository means? It is a component which is going to save all your DataStage code. So every batch, whenever I'm developing a jobs, I'm running the jobs in our batch, right? I'll create a different kind of folders here, and I'll save all the jobs here. They're all called jobs. Let me simply show you one of the job, simple job. So this is one of the DataStage job. There is nothing programming or something here in this because these are all GA-based ETL tools, right? It's going to have these kind of graphical icons. So these graphical icons, when you're developing, we will take some data from flat files. We will load the data from flat files to target flat files or maybe target database tables, whatever it may be, right? We will work on all those different kind of stages in DataStage. How to extract data from flat file, how to extract data from databases, how to load into flat files, and how to do some kind of conversions. So how to do different kind of transformation, right? How to implement a lookup process, how to do the lookup with the databases. For example, we have some sources Oracle and references also Oracle, and take the data from Oracle and load into target Oracle, for example. So how can we do that particular Oracle? So all these so we are going to do all these kind of different transformations, for example. So all these kind of transformations we are going to discuss. A lot of different transformations. That's what I told, right? This is module 4. This module 4 itself will take almost 20 hours of duration. So to talk about all the jobs development and how to do all those stuff. And then we'll also go to the quality stage. I told you, right? We'll also go to the quality, data quality. Let me simply open the jobs too. So I have plenty of jobs with me, so I can share you all the jobs also. So these kind of data quality stage, for example, I want to do word investigation, I want to do investigation of data, I want to make the data into standardized format, and first of all, I want to verify which country data is it coming, right? So there are some built-in rules are there in the quality stage. We'll also talk about those data quality. How can we, load the data into the data warehouse system with using of this data quality? What kind of data quality challenges we'll be having? So how to write the rules for those particular data quality? So here, see, I'm going to write some rule. For example, if I want to write a rule here, click on this new process and go to the rule set here. If you click on this rule set in the quality data quality, you will be connected to different kind of rules in the DataStage repository. This is repository actually. You can see different countries' rules. Okay, I'll show you very clearly. Don't worry right now because right now it's kind of introduction session. I'm showing you everything. So when you go to the USA, for example, you have a different kind of rules, address rules, area rules, name rules, preparation rules, right? You'll be having different kind of rules. For example, I want to go for name rule. How USA name rules are there? Right click here, you can go to properties. You can see the different kind of rules also. So we'll pretty much discuss completely like module 4. Right now I'm showing you module 5 jobs. That's okay. How to develop the quality stage. What kind of classifications are going to be there in the quality stage. In the module 6, when you're talking about the quality stage process, we have a separate process for quality. So what are the names are going to not allowed in the quality stage. I mean, which are the actual names. For example, you have a customer name with Abe, then it's going to be customer first name, right? It's showing with F first name. So how to work on this quality stage and everything also we'll talk in our quality stage sessions. So that's also we will talk in our quality process, and we'll also talk about this migration tool, right? I told you how to do this database migration, what kind of database migration we'll talk. Okay, we will do how to do this. For example, some of the jobs are there which are need to be migrated. So here, when any job is ready to migrate or which are required to migrate, for example, then I can see that here those jobs will come with a question mark. Okay, so here I can see some job with question mark, right? That means that job need to be migrated. So we'll talk about how to do this migration and what kind of migration we can do, and how to do this, which stages need to be migrated from old version to latest version. All this stuff. This is about module 4 and module 5. Okay, and module 6 is about admin part, right? I told you we'll talk about a little bit admin part also. So give me a few more minutes. We'll complete our demo. Okay, in case if you anyone having a rush to jump in. Okay, so we'll go to the admin part. We'll go to the web-based administrator also. Like this is called a kind of web-based system. So how to log into web-based system, how to work on this web-based system. Just take an example. You are a new developer today, right? Generally, any new developer join in a company, then what they're going to do? They will simply call their admin team and they will send their details to admin team, right? Whenever they're sending their details to admin team is going to create a user ID and password, right? So how to do that one? For example, you are a new developer. What kind of role they need to create you? So those users creation, how to create a new user, what kind of roles generally will be there for user, right? For example, let's go to this user admin. He's a developer, for example. Or maybe admin guy. What kind of roles we have? Opening this user, you can see what are the different kind of roles he has. A lot of different roles. So if you are a purely DataStage developer, for example, you joined as a junior developer, what kind of role you will get? You joined as a senior developer, what kind of role you will get? How to create the groups, how to do the schedules, how to configure the engine to the client, like engine credentials, user register creation. All these things also will talk in your admin part when you're talking about the administrative stuff. That's about the module 6. And when we go to the big data stuff, right? So we need to connect the big data system from our data station. That part is not completely possible because the reason is big data is, in working environment, I'm pretty much working on that one only from last 3 years. I'm not working on data state part actually. Completely in the big data system. Big data with the data stage and talent also we are using. Because here we have some of the big data connectivities also. We'll talk like how we are going to have with the Hive, how to use this Hive process in our data stage stream, how to connect with, for example, Hive processing system. We have some of the file states are there. Okay, how to use this normal table to the Hive table. Okay, how to load the data in the HDFS system, right? So mostly by using this DataStage or Informatica, these kind of ETL tools, you are going to connect to the HDFS. That's called Hadoop Distributed File System, or Hive. Hive is a kind of we can say uh, data warehouse in our big data system, kind of table structures we'll be having. There also we use a SQL Hive query language. So we'll load the data in the Hive tables, and we'll also take the data from our HDFS to DataStage. For example, you have some data in HDFS. Take the data, do some transformations, and again load back the data into the HDFS. That kind of transformation we generally going to do using our Hadoop also. So we will talk about that one also. How to work on that Hadoop processing system, what kind of data will be there, what kind of process will be implemented in our Hadoop system, right? How to do that processing system, and how to run the initial runs and complex runs. So how to build these kind of sequences. This is called sequence. Even when I'm talking about normal data stage, I'll show you some sequence also. So what is the sequence means? Let's take an example. You develop some jobs and some other developer some job, right? Every developer some job, for example. Once they develop a lot of jobs in their projects, so those need to be scheduled using our third-party scheduling tools or something. whenever we want to schedule those jobs, for example, right? When we want to schedule those jobs, that jobs need to be defined in a particular order. Which job need to be run first? Which job need to be run second? Right? Sometimes my job need to be first, another person's job is depend upon my job because that job is require input from me. So all those stuff we have to define. And if any job is failed, I want to terminate. And I want to run some kind of routines also in DataStage. Routine means a kind of C++ program or maybe basic language program or maybe Unix scripts, some Unix commands, and wait for files. Sometimes I need to run the loop. Loop in the sense, same process I am going to run multiple number of times. So we are going to talk about how to create the loop, what kind of loops will be there. So when we are going for loop, there are two types of loops are there. Numerical loop. Numerical loop means I want to run the same job 10 times. That's called numerical. List means I want to pass some value. For example, I'm passing state names. Today I'm getting 10 state names. So run the same job 10 times. I'm getting state names, for example, Arizona, Alabama, Michigan, California, for example, New Jersey, for example, okay, when you go for Washington, when you go for New Mexico, like, okay, when we are getting the state names, for example, like this, right? 10 states we got today, run the same job 10 times. Tomorrow you're getting 5 more extra states, for example, you have Minnesota, you have Wisconsin, for example, you have Chicago, right? So then those states also added to your list. So run the same job 15 times. So that way you want to pass a list of values to run your same process a number of times or years also. For example, I want to run 15, 16 archival process. I'm doing just take an example, right? 15 data, 16 data, 17 data, 18 data. So 4 years worth of data I want to load. So those kind of logics, if you want to implement, we use this looping and we use this triggering process also, how to define a trigger. So that's, we are going to talk about the sequencers and big data controls and everything in the module 7. Then when we go to the project, we are in the module 8 discussion. So I have a pretty much a lot of jobs are defined for the project also in my system. So we'll talk about the different jobs about the project. So how to develop the jobs for the project. For example, we'll be having real project jobs there. So how we are going to have a job design, right? What kind of table structure, what kind of transformation. So when you open these transformations in project, a lot of logics we'll write. Like for example, if your attribute is coming insert or attribute type is coming update, do insert or update. If not, do delete. So like this, we'll write a lot of different transformations. So I'll talk about those kind of transformations, what kind of transformations we'll do in a project. Okay. So these are all the kind of transformations, how to write in our business cases, how to do the null handlings, how to do the reject handling, how to add your own data. Sometimes you'll not get from the source. What kind of logics you'll have. For example, let's take an example of this attribute, right? Update data is an attribute, which is not getting any data from source. I'm adding current timestamp. And from my source, I'm getting date as a load date as a string, but I'm converting that into date to timestamp. So I'm using string to timestamp conversion. And here I'm checking a null handling. If it is coming as null, then put blank. Else, do some logic, right? So like this, we'll talk about different kind of logics in project and a lot of different operations we'll talk in a project also. So all this stuff we'll talk in our project, and then we'll also go to some scenario-based questions and performance tuning, how to do the performance tuning in our jobs and everything. So this is what we will talk in our entire sessions of our 45, and that's pretty much okay. I defined in our content. So even I can share you, okay, what is the day-wise schedule, okay, what day, which topic we are going to talk. So when we start our sessions, so that we'll follow. So when we are following that concept, right, we'll completely, go to that particular one, and we'll also talk about how to use this particular tool, and okay, and we'll be having different things. So before I go to the questions, I just want to answer the question which is asked by, I think, Informatica to DataStage. Yep, to answer this question, each tool has its own advantages and disadvantages. The first thing is these two are very competitive tools, both. Sometimes Informatica is going to be good, sometimes DataStage is good. The reason is a few options, especially when you go for the DataStage, it don't have its own version control. That's a drawback. in DataStage level. Second thing is, in DataStage, when we compare with Informatica, we don't have much debugging functionality to easily identify which is the really causing issue in any of failure. And we also, when we are loading the data from DataStage and Informatica, for example, you are loading XML process. XML is going to be very good with the DataStage than Informatica. Because I also faced the same issue in one of my project migration. So if the same XML process we built with Informatica, it took 12 hours to process. Same we are running with the DataStage, almost 4 to 5 hours. So like this, you have a lot of, and DataStage has a built-in repository. It has its own database repository, that's a DB2 repository. But Informatica don't have like that built. And when you go for DataStage, when you are taking data because of it's a product of IBM, right? Now we can say IBM marketing, I think, who are maybe working on IBM or who are working on outside also, you can know easily. They will give you a kind of package. If you purchase DataStage, they'll give DataStage with Unix, IBM AX, and they'll give scheduling tool 3WS, Stable Workload Scheduler, and they'll use some reporting tool, they'll use some database, their own database, DB2, or I think Medja also product of them. And they'll also give mainframe. Anyway, most of the clients who are migrating into DataStage nowadays, you can see their source legacy system is mainframe, right? So they also want to use mainframe with the DataStage. And now with the latest versions of DataStage, we can say that DataStage has a very robust, I can say very useful features of like operations console, which is going to be easily grab the server utilization, CPU utilization, memory utilization, everything. That functionality is not there in the Informatica. And the big data wise connectivity from DataStage and Informatica both are nearly same. I can say pretty much when we are comparing with Informatica DataStage, Talent is a head advanced than these two ETL tools. Because I'm working right now with the Talent, DataStage, and big data project actually in my company. So Talent is much better than the DataStage and Informatica with comparison of big data connectivity especially. So the reason is, okay, they have recently developed their tool, but still it has its own drawbacks also. You don't have a still flexible version. Sometimes if you develop some process in Talent also, it may work someday, it may not work someday also. We are facing same issues from last 2 years. But yes, I can say pretty much DataStage and Informatica pretty much both are same in the market wise. But sometimes it's going to be good, sometimes it's going to be bad. So we don't know, okay, at what time Informatica is going to be good, what time DataStage is good. But yes, few advantages and disadvantages are there. So clients are again, right? We know a lot of politics in the client places. Sometimes if they are restricted to one particular product, for example, IBM, they will not even change. Even other Informatica is providing good features also, because it's a lot of cost. So like this, okay, right now in the market for the DataStage, a lot of features they're adding, especially big data connectivities and operations console. So yes, pretty much both are same. I'm not saying one is good, one is bad, because I worked on both the ETL tools, Informatica and DataStage. Both are pretty much same right now. In the 11.5 version of DataStage, and I think there also there I think 9+ versions or something. So both are same. In future, we don't know which is going to be good tool, which is going to be bad. So that's a few differences, and pretty much I'm done with my DataStage. Anyone having any questions? If you have any questions, you can unmute yourself and you can. Yep.
Yes, Suresh, actually, I have a question. Which on which operating system we are going to install this DataStage version on our system?
You will get this DataStage software on Windows.
Okay. So how we are going to practice on? For Linux commands. If we are getting
Linux commands, you can practice. Okay. Linux commands even you can practice. There is no problem. But scripts you are not able to practice.
Okay. So is there any possibility we can install on the Oracle Linux VM?
Oracle, you will get it. Oracle as part of this, these also they are going to install either VM or Delta installation. So whenever we are talking about this DataStage software, Oracle you will get by default. And Linux, yes, if you want, I don't know about 11.5, my admin is still installing. If you want 9.1, yes, they are installing on Linux also. 11.5, I think they are having small issues. They are not able to.
Okay, fine. So we can get 9.1 as well if we want.
Yeah, that's they're going to charge again, I think, a little bit more. You can talk with your admins. They'll charge for that extra if you want both the versions.
Okay.
Or if you want one version, it's going to be free as part of training.
Okay.
Because this 11.5 they are doing, even I'm teaching this class from last 8 months. So admins are still struggling with this DataStage 11.5 because this version itself came almost 1.5 years back only. So this is not very much okay. Don't think that this 11.5 is there more years, 1.5 years or something. So in 15 ending it came actually, but no client used in 15. Mostly we can say 16 starting only. They start using. Even we also. I'm working for Obamacare process, so there also they start using the federal government. Almost 2016 April or May onwards we start using this 11.5 migration and everything. Pretty much okay. Everyone is new to this 11.5 tool. Any other questions? Anyone? So if no questions, okay. Even I did not get any questions in the chat. Oh, why is breaking? I don't know. I think Tirupati or you only. I think it's having why is breaking. Okay. For us, good. I think. Also, we are good to get. Yeah, that's going to be okay. Not desktop client selects. It's going to be both server and client. Both you will get it. Yeah, both, yes. You'll get both the server and clients on same mission. So it's not going to be too difficult to practice. It's pretty much easy to practice also. That's the one. And yeah, tomorrow we'll be having a session. Okay. Tomorrow, okay, we can start the same time our session. So we can start first session tomorrow and we'll continue every day same time. And if required, okay, we can a little bit adjust the timing also if everyone is having. Okay, that we can talk after the 1 or 2 sessions completed. Okay, because I gave some demo last week as well. Okay, for a few other guys, they are also waiting for the first session to start. So I'll include them as well tomorrow, so we can start and we can continue as a match. If anyone having any questions, you can talk with Ashwini or someone. So we'll meet tomorrow same time and we'll continue. Thanks for joining. We'll meet tomorrow. Thanks a lot. Okay. We will share this recording to you guys and you can go to that one and we'll share device schedule and pretty much coming to the materials, right? I missed to scare maybe. So like this, I divide the material also into different modules. Like module 1, you will get a material slides and what are the class slides I'm using. The class slides you will get it. Basic interview questions. Module 2, pretty much you'll get about all the modeling materials and the class PPTs, everything. Module 3, pretty much okay, because module 3 is about architecture only, and module 4 you will get lot of slides, testing documents, job design document, partitioning, performance tuning, and admin guide, best practice documents, everything you'll get in module 5. And module 4 you're going to get about the quality stage materials and quality stage slides, everything. And similar to that, all the modules, and you'll get a scheduling tool also, like AutoSys, Control M, TWS, all the scheduling tools. And you will get Unix, plenty of Unix scripts. I'm going to send you thousands of scripts if required. From last 12 and a half years, when I'm working on DataStage, every project I have a good habit, every project when I'm working, I'll copy those scripts outside, So I have a lot of scripts which I wrote and which are my friends wrote in my other projects. I can share a lot of plenty of scripts to you, Unix scripts also. And as part of this one, I'll also share you some practice data which you are going to use in our day-to-day classes for DataStage and for quality stage. what is the data I'm going to use in my classes. And you'll also get data, sorry, I think I need to copy the database materials also. And help guides, which is generally going to get as part of your tool when we install tool. That's also I just downloaded into our local machine. And resumes, lot of resumes I can share you guys. Don't worry about that. And the big data materials also. Okay, big data class. I think I copied somewhere. I'm sorry, not in this folder. But those are there in the already uploaded version. Don't worry about that. So big data class PPT is also okay, because these are all not for some other trainer, mine only. I'm also big data trainer. So these are all material of mine, big data materials and big data class this materials and class sites, lives, everything, just to understand how this big data industries are going to be integrated. So I'm going to share that one too. I mean, from my side, I'm going to share completely what is required to understand the ETL tool, what is required to understand, and what is required to work on a project. Even when you go to the module 8, right? When you're going to the module 8, that's going to talk about the complete project. So I'm going to give you project related materials, okay? Project overview materials, architecture, test case documents, everything, technical specs. I'm not showing anything, but it will take a lot of time to open and everything. So everything is okay, not just a document. It has plenty of information inside. So I'll share you that one, okay?